If you're at a spot in your business where you are ready to grow, you're excited to grow, you're doing all the things within your business, but you're just unsure how you should be growing in terms of what decisions you should be actually making within your business, who you should be hiring, that type of fun stuff. This episode is for you. Danielle is our special guest, and she is an expert when it comes to how do you really leverage your finances to make really good decisions within your business that is going to help you scale. We talked so much more than just about finances and all that fun stuff. We talked about leadership. We talked about the mistakes. We talked about entrepreneurships. We talked about the journey that entrepreneurship really is. So I know you're going to take a lot away from this episode. For my type A listeners here, Danielle and I are both very type A. So she gave a lot of percentages, structure, things to follow. But then we also talked about how to use that creativity within your business as well. So let's just bring Danielle on before I give way too much away about the episode. But regardless, I know you are going to love it. And thanks so much for being here, by the way. Hey, Danielle, welcome to the More Than Social podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Of course, I'm excited to dive into all things people need to know as they're scaling their business. I know there's a lot of knowledge and value that you can bring to the table today. But before we dive into more of the technical tips, strategy, that type of conversation, would love for you to introduce who you are, what you do, and how you even got into your realm of business in the first
Yeah.
place.
Danielle Hayden. Business is Kickstart Accounting Inc. And I have a wild entrepreneurship ride story. So I actually originally started my career as a creative, as a hairdresser. I learned how to use numbers to excel and to hit my goals. And I had a knack for teaching the community that I was in at the time how to make more money and how to understand their numbers and use them to hit their goals. Took a detour through corporate accounting where I had an awesome opportunity to learn from different private equity firms, investors, my board of directors and CEO. And I wanted to take everything that I had learned from all those experiences, especially from what I had learned from my CEOs, and said, let's bring this to entrepreneurship. And now I'm back in my sweet spot, helping people use the numbers to hit their goals, make sense of it all, and really be able to grow and step into our confidence and power with numbers.
Amazing. I love it. It's interesting. You went from hairdressing to accounting to now CFO, financial side of things. How did you make that kind of switch?
I loved the black and white rules of accounting. So when you're doing hair or any type of creative adventure, you're going to mix a little of this and you're going to do a little of that. And let's see if it works and see how it pans out. And that can be really creative. Like I know some people love that. For me, it drove me crazy. Like I followed all the rules and why didn't it air quote work, right? Like why didn't it do what it was supposed to do? And in accounting, you put in the numbers into QuickBooks, right? Like you follow the rules. It gives you a specific report. It all balances. And I'm like, oh, you do what you're supposed to do and it works. And when you follow the numbers and you listen to the story it's telling you and you make changes in your business, it works. I fell in love with the impact that numbers have in business.
Yeah, I can totally agree. Assuming you're a very type A personality.
I gave it away, huh?
Yeah, I'm the same. So I actually originally went to university for accounting and then I decided to not do it. But then coming into digital marketing, it's still a big numbers
It
game.
is a
So for
big
me,
number.
it's
It's huge.
yeah, it tells us exactly what's working, what's not working. So like as soon as you were talking, I'm like, she's very much type A. Like, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But there still needs to be a little bit of creativity from the entrepreneur side of things, like even just running your own business. So now that you're in your realm, you're in your sweet spot where you are helping other entrepreneurs and you're using the numbers to grow your business specifically. How do you pull in that creativity side for your business growth?
We have our podcast, Business by the Books, and for me, that's my big creative outlet when I really pour my heart and soul and passion into that podcast. So we are a weekly podcast where most of them are solo episodes about talking about how to use numbers to manage and grow your business. That is where I get to put a lot of my creative energy. I'm obsessed with podcasting. I think it's the greatest thing. It's a way to educate ourselves on the go. So yeah.
as much as people don't like to be the creative side of things, I feel like eventually you can't run from it completely. But in what you're saying is finding that one thing that you truly are passionate about and let that kind of weave into it. I think that's an important piece. But being that type A personality, having that super structured approach is, in my opinion, amazing. Having those structures, having the numbers tell me what is working in my business, what is not working. Same with all of my clients running ads and everything. That is how I've been able to grow as quickly as I have over the last 9 years. So when you are working, like you were obviously doing larger aspects when you were in the corporate world, and now you're bringing the numbers to the small businesses, the entrepreneurship. How are you finding that is impacting their growth?
It's everything, right? Like, it is the growth of business. So, I'll say for anybody who's listening that's, "I'm not a type A personality. This isn't for me. I'm never gonna know the numbers. I'm never gonna be good at the numbers. Why even bother trying?" I will say that's why you have a money team. That's why you learn from people, because just because it's not ingrained in who you are doesn't mean that you can't take the high level aspects of it and learn from it and then implement it in your business. So, even if you're not, that's why I have a team of rule followers that work with me, because we need a group of really amazing bookkeepers to serve our creative clients, to keep you organized and keep you doing what you love and what you do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it's some people, especially when you're first starting your business or even in the first couple of years, it's like you have to wear all the hats to a certain capacity. But I always teach my audience, it's find out what you love to do and what you don't love to do. Once you realize what you don't love to do, that's where you can kind of outsource and bring in, like you said, the money team, or bring in the support on those aspects so you can just do what it is that you love to do, the reason why you started your business in the first place. And we're talking numbers, we like the numbers games, but like other aspects of our business,
Yeah,
I'm
there's
sure
things
we
I
can both
hate
agree there's
doing.
things,
Yeah,
yeah, we don't
yes.
like.
I am kicked out of Canva. I don't even have to log in anymore. But in terms of okay, in terms of the business owners who I see leaning into the numbers, the reason why that sets you up for success in the future is because you are able to make really, like, quick decisions, and you're not waiting until tax time every year to be reactive. So you're not waiting for tax time for your tax accountant to say, "Well, you need to go spend $20,000, otherwise you're gonna pay taxes." Like, I could have spent $20,000 a million different ways, and now I'm gonna go reactively spend it at the end of the year? Absolutely not. So we send our clients their financials every single month with a snapshot, an easy to read document of high level overview of their numbers. And the reason we do every single month is because we want you to have an opportunity every month to ask yourself, well, what worked? Am I profitable? Awesome. How was I profitable this month? Am I going to save enough for taxes? Am I going to continue to repeat what made me profitable this month? Yeah. Now, like, how much information did you just receive by being able to ask yourself that question? It's gold. Now, for the people who lost money last month, you're not going 3, 6, 9, 12 months without having asked yourself, "Holy crap, why did I lose money?" You know? You know within 30 days of it actually taking place, and you can make corrections really fast. So, we had a client a few years ago. She had added on a second revenue stream in her business, and it was so cool. Lisa, she had hockey stick growth. If
Nice.
you were looking at her point of sale system, you'd be like, on paper, she's doing amazing. She also had to hire a bunch of contractors. The contractors underquoted her on how much time it was going to take them to perform their service. It cost her so much money in software and people that when she was looking at the numbers each month, she's like, I am watching my debt increase. I am watching
Oh,
the expenses increase. It was August when she said, Danielle, I got to get out of this. I cannot continue down this path. I'm terminating it. And it broke my heart to watch her go through that. But how cool. She didn't have to wait a whole year to know that it wasn't working. She got to shift, and now she's this amazing author doing what she loves, selling a ton of books.
that's the thing. You'll see the sales going up, and people are like, "Oh, I'm making sales, I'm making sales, I'm making sales." But if you don't look at all the things, the big picture, it's like, hey, if your sales are going up, but your expenses are going way up and you're actually losing money, what's the point of it? But I feel like most people just get up so caught up in that sales aspect.
Absolutely.
And so when you said that you can make decisions quickly, you mentioned that you typically will say it's like the 30 days until you can see if it's impacting you or not. When you're implementing new strategies, for instance, so let's say it's a new marketing campaign, do you still stick to that 30-day, or do you, like I typically say, you want to give about 90 days until you can truly see the return on investment with a lot of the marketing side of things that I do. So how do you kind of balance that?
Ooh, love this question. Okay. You receive your financial statements every month. You're looking at them every month. You're asking yourself some high level questions like, what worked? What didn't work? Am I paying my people too much? What's the impact of running these ads right now? What's the impact of my marketing today? But you're not making pivots every single month. So I'm not saying every month we're making knee jerk reactions. You can practice patience as a CEO to say, yes, I started implementing that last month, but I need to wait 90 days. But you're not being surprised after 90 days. We used to offer this quarterly plan where we sent clients their financials once a quarter. And I'm like, God, I hate this. I hate it. I hated my own product because once a quarter, we like 90 days had already gone by and people would be so surprised. Oh my God, I lost that much money in 3 months. So by the time the 90 days have come, you've already seen the results of it 2 months already. So when we get to month 3, you're not shocked by it, but you're not making knee jerk reactions every single month. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And then when you were talking about that story of your client who's the author, I find this is a big gap within the industry, and maybe it's from an education standpoint, maybe it's just I don't know why it is, but a lot of people don't understand the numbers, or they just don't wanna understand the numbers. So, when they are starting to scale their business, let's just say they're a solopreneur, they're super, super busy, they think that they should bring on team members, whether it's support within their business or whether it is the management side of things for money, like, how do people know and when is the best time to make the decision to actually bring on that support?
Before you're ready is usually the right time to bring on support because if we wait until we're ready, we're already feeling the pain and we're going to make knee jerk reactions of hiring the wrong team members because we just want help in our business. So as you're growing, I find that as a solopreneur, right, we're doing everything on our own, and that's okay. We need to at some point in our business. But as we hire those first few team members, we are buying back our time. And the best way we can buy back our time is with experts. And so if I hire an expert in my business, they're going to be able to come in and completely take this task off of my plate. And I can rely on them that they know what they're doing. And I don't have to be the expert in that field. So, what we find is that the first few hires for our clients typically are experts who can come in and take key things. And this might look like, your bookkeeper, your tax accountant, your attorney, VA, manager, those types of roles so that you have somebody who's coming in and really taking it completely off your plate. Then, once we are used to having people contribute to the business, then we can start to consider having contractor 1099s in the business where we're relinquishing a little less control. We're telling them how we want things done, when we want things done, and then eventually they become employees when we're ready to completely control our brand and what people do, how people do it, and we're ready to train those people on how to do what we do in this business. So typically we see outside consultants, right? Like those experts, outside services is what we call them on our income statement. Then 1099 contractors so that you're not having to hire full-time people, then employees, whether they be part-time or full-time.
Okay. And when you're talking about the experts, more cases than not, experts are going to be more expensive than doing the contractors initially. And how do you manage that huge increase in, I'm going to say it's an expense, even though we can look at it as an investment as well. But how do you manage that side of things?
I wanna say it depends. So if you are hiring often, we are our client's first hire because we are the bookkeeping firm. So oftentimes, we are the first hire for a lot of our clients because they don't know the numbers. And so they're like, "Well, I wanna hire another team member or I want to outsource more of my business, but how do I make that decision because I don't have the numbers?" So the first thing I'll say is you have to have accurate bookkeeping, and you have to be able to look at your numbers on a regular basis. Otherwise, you're right. I don't want you making any of those decisions because if you're waiting till tax time every year to look at how much money you spent, you could put yourself in a lot of trouble if you go hire a very expensive expert without knowing where your money is. So, as long as you know the numbers, I think we can make these decisions using budgeting tools and using the tools available to be able to look into the future of our business.
I love it. And I do appreciate that you said hire the experts first because what I see and even what I've experienced over growing my business, it's at a certain point when you are getting really busy, you're ready to scale, you're ready to bring on those team members, hiring someone that you can just let them do their thing and not have to worry about them is going to alleviate so much stress on your end and allow you to actually focus on the things that you want to focus on. When you get to the point where you're bringing on the subcontractors or even the employees, that is a whole different ball game on its own because you're now not just being a business owner, you're not just being an entrepreneur, you need to step into that leadership side of things. So that's a completely different mindset, completely different everything. So how do you and do you even coach your clients on that leadership aspect?
We don't necessarily coach our clients on the leadership aspect. So we are a money team. So our team is doing the bookkeeping, the tax work. When clients sign on for the CFO services with our firm, that's when we will talk a little bit more about the leadership component of it. But I do recommend no matter where you're at in your business, you deserve that professional development. And I'll say for myself as a business owner, the most difficult thing I've done ever is challenge myself to grow in my role as a leader. That has been the most difficult thing I've done. And I started just like all of you. I'm 10 years into the business and I started first with outside services. Then I added on contractors. Then I added on employees. Within the last 3 to 4 years, we've moved to full time employees who have benefits. And each stage required me to level up. And using my numbers gave me the confidence to sit a little bit straighter in every single one of my
Mhm.
decisions.
And then outside the numbers things, just like in your personal experience, stepping into those leadership roles, even the stress of now you have full-time employees, you typically are responsible now for making sure that they have a roof over their head, they have food on their table. Like how did you handle that outside the numbers?
Yeah. Gosh, it's not handled. It's definitely handle still every day, right? For me, it's trusting myself. And I didn't have as much trust in myself. Like I was still proving to myself that I could do it. In those first few years in business, I was proving to myself, like, okay, you can do this stage, right? Like you can manage contractors. You got this. See, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're a business owner, right? Like you got this. And then moving to the next step. See, Danielle, like you can do it. So I think for me, it was proving to myself. And then now it's just trusting that I'm going to make the right decisions for my team. And when I don't, right, because I'm also not perfect, I'm going to admit that I did something wrong. I just had a conversation with one of my account managers this morning and I said, look, I made the wrong decision 9 months ago and I own that and I'm sorry. And here's what we're going to do in the future to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
I love it. I love it. And I think that is one of the most difficult conversations to have openly with other people
Oh, so
is
anxious,
when you're
right?
actually like, yeah, like you're admitting like, hey, yeah, one, you're human, so that's totally okay. But two, it's admitting the apology and then the solution, like those three things that you just mentioned I think that needs to happen, and I feel like a lot of people will miss one of them. They either will be like, "Nope, it's your fault," or "I didn't make the wrong decision." It's blaming it on something else, or not coming up with the solution of how it's gonna impact you in the future or make changes in the future. Is you gotta learn from your mistakes, and I think so many people are scared to even admit their mistakes. It doesn't matter if you're just starting your business, if you're 10 years into it like we are, or if it's you're making millions and billions of dollars, like you're always going to be making mistakes because you are in a different area of growth. In my opinion, you have to make the mistakes to actually grow to that next level.
Absolutely. You do. We have to own our mistakes. And I think that's what I've always considered our financial statements, like they have this report card effect on people. If you're anything like me, I got grounded every time a report card came out. Okay, mom, like clearly didn't work last quarter. Let's do it again. And I think we're trained to think our numbers are this shaming tool of you lost money. See, you were never good at this thing. You're not good enough. Like you should just close this thing down. And not what it's telling you. What it's telling you is, wow, that strategy didn't work. What a gift to be able to learn from it now. Like, how cool is it that we as business owners get the opportunity to get this report in our numbers to say, okay, I didn't do so well in that. I'm going to pivot and I'm going to change and I'm going to retest another tool in the business, see if this one works out better. And I just think as entrepreneurs, we have the coolest job because we get to learn from our mistakes so upfront and raw and be able to continue to just keep trying.
Yeah, it's a fun, rewarding, scary journey all
All of
on
it.
its own. Like
All the feels.
it's all the things.
All
So
the
we
feels.
definitely have that. Now, I do have one last question for you, and it's let's say this individual has hired the bookkeeping team, they have that off their plate. Maybe they have a VA at this point from a support within their business, and they really want to grow. Like they want to hit that $1 million mark. And let's just say, for sake of example, they're around 300,000, 500,000 at this point. Where do you feel is the first place they should start spending? Because I believe you guys spend money to make money. And I think that is something that people are scared to do. So, where do they put their focus?
Yeah. I've gotten on so many client calls over the years where business owners will say to me, okay, where do I cut back? Like, like they're so geared up for me to say, you have to cut your spending. And I often say, hold on, before we cut anything, let's look into the future. Where do you want to see your business go? What were your goals for this year? Did you hit them? And where do you want to go next? And we have to spend in alignment with where our business goals are. So if my goal is to grow my business, I need to be spending between 8 and 10% in marketing and advertising in order to grow my business. I want to have work life balance in my life. If I really want to have dinner with my kids tonight, I'm probably going to need a team. you know, like if I don't want to work 60, 80 hours a week, I might need a team. And therefore, I need to be spending between 30, 40% of my sales back in payroll. I need outside services. If I don't want to have to do everything myself, I'm going to have to be spending between 6 and 8% of my sales on outside services. So I really want everyone to think about what is your intention for your business? Like, where do you want to see it go? What do you want out of your business? And then align your spending. Too many of us are just spending because somebody told us on Instagram to spend money here. Like, stop, like really think about what do you want in your business and then spend accordingly to your goals in your business.
I love it. And as you were listing out those number percentages, it's roughly 60-ish percent that you kind of just listed off there. I think if I calculate that correctly. How do you know how much to pay yourself? Like, I actually had a call yesterday with an electrician, and it was two partners. They weren't for 2 years paying themselves, but they were growing so quickly. They brought on 5 team members. So all the money that they were making was going to their team. So for 2 years, I couldn't, like, she has a mortgage, she has kids, like, she was struggling. So how do you know when to pay yourself, and do you have that percentage that people kind of follow from that standpoint?
So it depends. If you are an S corp, so if you are an LLC filing taxes as an S corp, the IRS requires you to pay yourself a reasonable compensation. And this is really important. Once you become an S corp, you have to pay yourself through payroll. And the IRS says you have to pay a certain amount through payroll taxes before you can take owner's draws. So, any of my S corp folks, get with your tax accountant. It's part of our tax services that we offer to our clients to provide them with a reasonable compensation analysis every year to make sure that you're paying yourself enough. Because once you have that paper saying to the IRS, I paid myself enough through payroll, you can take as much cash out of your business as you want through owner's draws. So that's really important. If you're somebody who is an LLC and you are just taking owner's draws out of your business, I consider owner's draws like going to the cash ATM of your business. You're not a business expense. You are not lowering the net income of your business, and you are not paying taxes on those owner's draws. However, just because you can doesn't mean you don't want to take out all of the cash in your business. So I would recommend you looking at this is just a really rough, like we do this for our clients. So if you're working with a bookkeeping team, talk to them about helping you determine the best number for you. But rough would be to pull your profit and loss statement from QuickBooks for the last 12 months. And I want you to take on average your sales minus your cost of goods sold on average, minus your average operating expenses. Now, this is your average profit, but you still can't take the whole profit in your business. You also need to minus your average monthly debt payments. That is on average how much profit you have in your business that you could use to save for taxes and pay yourself.
Okay. Interesting.
I wanted to give both, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wanted you to have a formula you could go use right now, but also if you don't want to, talk to your money team. Like, that's why I suggest every business owner have a money team because you don't have to do that calculation for yourself. Don't do it. If my clients are listening to a podcast, we tell them all the time, if you get a question, shoot it over. Like, we'll answer that question for you. So, more than anything, you don't have to do it yourself.
Yeah, and especially if you hate numbers and you're like, "Ah, I don't wanna do anything that they're saying," have the money team. I truly believe that is one of the most powerful things because like you said in the beginning, it's like the numbers literally tell you everything and you can make those smart decisions. And I think making decisions in our business, especially when we're really trying to scale and grow, it's you got to make the smart ones and you got to make the right ones. But of course, obviously, there's going to be some bad decisions that we make, and that's just learning from that aspect. But last, I know I said I had one last question two
I'm on
questions
here for
ago.
it.
Last question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to a fellow entrepreneur who's in the grind of it right now, like they're in the thick of everything, what would that piece of advice be not related to type A, structure, finances, like just off the cusp? What would that be for you?
Hire before you're ready. My biggest regret was taking so long to hire my team. I have the most amazing team now, and we don't have to go at it alone. Like, I think entrepreneurship is such a lonely journey, and you don't have to do everything yourself. And I think, especially women, we wear these superhero capes, and you can retire the superhero cape. You don't have to do it all. We don't have to do everything ourselves. So, get a team in your business and at home for crying out loud. And then you can monitor the numbers to make sure it's all working.
Amazing. I love it. I love how you added the numbers in at the end.
Well, because I can hear people like, "I can't afford to hire a team." I'm like, "But you maybe you can." Like, our mindset holds us back from so much. "I'm too small. I'm not enough. I don't have enough money. I can't do that." And maybe your mindset's holding you back.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say that. It's like maybe there's a whole other conversation that we have to have around that as well, just money mindset. But where can our listeners find you? I know I haven't even asked you that yet.
Yeah, kickstartaccountinginc.com/gift is a great place to go. You can listen to the podcast, download. We have a top deductions worksheet there, as well as how to pay yourself more. So if you're paying
There you
yourself,
go.
you can find that calculation there.
Amazing. Love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for all of this, talking about leadership, the truths of really what entrepreneurship looks like, but also I greatly appreciate the type structure and all the percentages and everything that you gave us. So thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day. Guys, connect with Danielle if you have any questions when it comes to paying yourself, the right structures, making those smart decisions. Even if you just want to chat about entrepreneurship in general, you know I am always here. But Danielle, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.